Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Leon, and I will be doing my presentation on magazine advertising. Magazines and newspapers have been advertising media for more than 2 centuries. Thousands of magazines are published in the United States and throughout the world. They appeal to nearly every specific consumer interest and lifestyle, as well as to thousands of businesses and occupations. By becoming a highly specialized medium that reaches specific target audiences, the magazine industry has prospered. Many people read a number of different magazines each week or month to become better informed or simply entertained. Individuals employed in varied occupations rely on business magazines to keep them current about trends and developments in their industries as well as in business in general. While most of us are very involved with print media, it is important to keep in mind that few newspapers or magazines could survive without the support of advertising revenue. Consumer magazines generate an average of 54% of their revenues from advertising. Business publications receive nearly 73%. The print media must be able to attract large numbers of readers on a very specialized audience to be of interest to advertisers. Both magazines and newspapers are facing significant challenges from the internet, which is impacting the number of people who read the traditional print version of each medium and is also attracting an increasingly larger amount of marketers' advertising budget each year. Many magazines and newspapers are struggling to get consumers to pay for their online editions and continue to look for ways to monetize them. In short-term magazines and newspapers have to continue to search for ways to attract and retain readers as well as the advertising pages and revenue that accompanies them. The role of magazines in the advertiser's media plan differs from that of the broadcast media because they allow the presentation of detailed information that can be processed at the reader's own pace. The print media are not intrusive like radio and TV, and they generally require some effort on the part of the reader for the advertising message to have an impact. For this reason, newspapers and magazines are often referred to as high-involvement media. Magazines are different from newspapers because the majority of them reach a very selective audience and can be valuable in reaching specific types of consumers and market segments. Over the past several decades, magazines have grown rapidly to serve the educational, informational, and entertainment needs of a wide range of readers in both the consumer and business markets. Magazines are the most specialized of all advertising media. While some magazines, such as Reader's Digest, Time, and The Economist, are general mass appeal publications, most are targeted to a very specific audience. There is a magazine designed to appeal to nearly every type of consumer in the terms of demographics, lifestyle, activities, interest, or fascination. Numerous magazines are targeted towards specific businesses and industries as well as toward individuals engaged in various professions. The wide variety makes magazines an appealing medium to a vast number of advertisers. To gain some perspective on the various types of magazines available and the advertisers that use them, consider the way magazines are generally classified. The media research company SRDS, the primary reference source on periodicals for media planners, divides magazines into 3 broad categories based on the audience to which they are directed: consumer, healthcare, and business publications. Each category is then further classified according to the magazine's editorial content and audience appeal. Consumer magazines are bought by the general public for information and/or entertainment. SRDS divides 3,000 domestic consumer magazines into 80 classifications, among them news, men's, sports, travel, and women's. Another way of classifying consumer magazines is by distribution. They can be sold through subscriptions or circulation, stored distribution, or both. Time and InStyle are sold both through the subscription and in stores. Woman's World is sold primarily through stores. Magazines can also be classified by frequency. Weekly, monthly, and bi-monthly are the most common. Consumer magazines represent the major portion of the magazine industry, accounting for nearly 2/3 of all advertising dollars spent in magazines. Consumer magazines are the best suited to marketers interested in reaching general consumers of products and services as well as to companies trying to reach a specific target market. The most frequently advertised categories in consumer magazines are toiletries and cosmetics, drugs and remedies, food and food products, apparel and accessories, retail, and automotive. The marketers of tobacco products spend most of their media budget in magazines, since they are prohibited from advertising in the broadcast media. While large national advertisers tend to dominate consumer magazine advertising in terms of expenditures, the 3,000 consumer magazines are also important to smaller companies selling products that appeal to specialized markets. Special interest magazines assemble consumers with similar lifestyles or interests and offer marketers an efficient way to reach these people with little wasted coverage or circulation. For example, companies marketing towards women's apparel, such as J. Crew, Abercrombie & Fitch, Ralph Lauren, and Jones New York, that want to target young adult females might find magazines such as 17, Elle, or Cosmopolitan effective media vehicles for advertising to them. In farm publications, the consumer SRDS category also consists of all the magazines directed to farmers and their families. About 300 publications are tailored to nearly every possible type of farming or agricultural interest. SRDS breaks farm publications into 9 classifications, ranging from general interest magazines aimed at all types of farmers, to those in specialized agriculture areas such as poultry, hog farming, or cattle raising. A number of farm publications are directed at farmers in specific states or regions, such as the Nebraska Farmer or Montana Farmer Stockman. Farm publications are not classified with business publications because historically farms were not perceived as businesses. Business publications are those magazines or trade journals published for specific businesses, industries, or occupations. Standard Rate and Data Service breaks down over 5,000 print and 5,000 digital U.S. magazines and trade journals into nearly 200 market classifications. The numerous business publications reach specific types of professional people with particular interests and give them important information relevant to their industry. Business publications are important to advertisers because they provide an efficient way of reaching the specific types of individuals who constitute their target market. Much marketing occurs at the trade and business-to-business level, where one company sells its products or services directly to another. Magazines have a number of characteristics that make them attractive as an advertising medium. One of the main advantages of using magazines as an advertising medium is their selectivity, or the ability to reach a specific target audience. Magazines are the most selective of all media except direct mail. Most magazines are published for special interest groups. The thousands of magazines published in the U.S. reach all types of consumers and businesses and allow advertisers to target their advertising to segments of the population who buy their product. One of the most valued attributes of magazine advertising is the reproduction quality of the ads. Magazines are generally printed on high-quality paper stock and use printing process that provide excellent reproduction in black and white or color. In addition to their excellent reproduction capabilities, magazines also offer advertisers a great deal of flexibility in terms of the type, size, and placement of the advertising material. Some magazines offer a variety of special options that can enhance the creative appeal of an ad and increase attention and readership. Examples include gatefolds, which enable an advertiser to make striking presentation by using a third page that folds out and gives the ad an extra large spread. Gatefolds are often found at the inside cover of large consumer magazines. Bleed pages are those where the advertisement extends all the way to the end of the page, with no margin of white space around the ad. Bleeds give the ad an impression of being larger and make a more dramatic impact. Many magazines charge an extra 10 to 20% for bleeds. Another distinctive advantage offered by magazines is their long lifespan, unlike TV and radio, which characterized by fleeting messages that have a very short lifespan. Magazines are generally read over several days and are often kept for reference. They are retained in the home longer than any other medium and are generally referred to on several occasions. The permanence of magazines also means readers can be exposed to ads on multiple occasions and can pass magazines along to other readers. Another positive feature of a magazine advertising is the prestige the product or service may gain from advertising in publications with a favorable image. Companies whose products rely heavily on perceived quality, reputation, and/or image often buy space in prestigious publications with high-quality editorial content whose consumers have a high level of interest in the advertising pages. For example, Architectural Digest provides an impressive editorial environment that includes high-quality photography and artwork. The magazine's upscale readers are likely to have a favorable image of the publication that may transfer to the products advertised on its pages. With the exception of newspapers, consumers are more receptive to advertising in magazines than in any other medium. Magazines are generally purchased because the information they contain interests the reader, and ads provide additional information that may be of value in the making of a purchase decision. Studies have shown that magazines are consumers' primary source of information for a variety of products and services, including automobiles, beauty, grooming, clothing, and fashion. As an example for reproduction quality, Team One Agency developed a very creative ad for Lexus that becomes animated when placed over an iPad. Let's take a look. Media planners recognize that one of the major advantages of advertising in magazines is the ability of the medium to engage the readers and hold their attention. Research has shown that engagement with an advertising medium is important because it is directly related to increased advertising recall and specific actions are taken, such as searching for additional information about an advertiser's brand, visiting the website, or even saving an ad for future reference. Although the advantages offered by magazines are considerable, they have certain drawbacks too. These include the cost of advertising, their limited reach and frequency, the long lead time required in placing an ad, and the problem of clutter and heavy advertising competition. The cost of advertising in magazines vary according to the size of the audience they reach and their selectivity. Advertising in large mass circulation magazines like Time, Reader's Digest, Better Homes, and Gardens can be very expensive. For example, a full-page, 4-color ad in Times Magazine cost $400,000 in 2013. Popular positions such as the back cover cost nearly $500,000. Magazines are generally not as effective as other media in offering reach and frequency. While nearly 90% of adults in the U.S. read one or more consumer magazines each month, the percentage of adults reading any individual publication tends to be much smaller, so magazines have a thin penetration of households. Since most magazines are monthly or at best weekly publications, the opportunity for building frequency through the use of the same publication is limited. Using multiple ads in the same issue of a publication is an inefficient way to build frequency. Another drawback of magazines is the long lead time needed to place an ad. Most major publications have a 30 to 60 day lead time, which means space must be purchased